Oh, good morning. So wonderful to have you with us. You know, people have come from all over for this place and to this event, and I'm really, really fortunate. We have, and if you want to raise your hand, we have Alex that flew in from Minnesota. Is Alex? Alex right here. Awesome, Alex. We've got PJ that flew in from New York. PJ, awesome to meet both of you guys. We've got people that drove down from Georgia, Jacksonville. We're out Sarasota, Miami. So it is so wonderful that you've selected this day and this time and you're giving back to yourself. Really awesome. Life mastery. Life mastery is about creating miracles. What's a miracle? Define it. Help me out. What's a miracle?
Unexpected event.
Unexpected event. Beautiful. What else? What else would we call a miracle? An unexpected event.
Beating the odds.
Beating the odds. Yeah. Everyone in this room has already done that to some level. There are people in here who are sober that never thought they would be sober. There are people that grew up in extreme abuse, neglect, emotional, physical, that didn't know that they would. How many people have ever heard of Dave Pelzer? A Child Called It. Yeah. Dave Pelzer's a miracle maker. You know, I have hosted national radio shows for 22 years. Right now, you can catch me on XM, satellite radio, tonight. We'll be doing a best of tonight so I can be with you and hanging out and having fun. But Dave Pelzer is a miracle maker. His case of child abuse when in the state of California, up until just a couple years ago, and I hate to say that it was broken, at that time, was the most severe case of child abuse in the United States of America. No. And he created a miracle to not only go on and rise above and to become a millionaire, but the woman who locked him in the cellar and threw scraps of food to him as he was chained to a pole while his brothers and sisters lived a normal life, he forgave and took in his own mother. Years later, can I get an amen? Is that a miracle? Amen. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
You know? There are people that have lost, that we have worked with over the last 20 plus years, 100, 150, 170 pounds of weight. And unlike the television shows that you see where unfortunately 12 months later people who have lost 150, 250 pounds have gained it back, these people have not gained it back. And let me tell you one of the most critical keys to life mastery, and that is this. Harv Eker has told me this. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I'll be quoting him throughout the seminar. The guy is freaking amazing. From broke to millionaire plus, right? Joe Cerulli. I'll be telling you the stories of Joe Cerulli, my mentor. Joe Cerulli, from homeless to multi-crillionaire. Seriously, multi-crillionaire, right? From homeless, and they all say the same thing. And if you're going to write anything down, write this down. You have a manual in front of you that we're going to rock and roll and rip through, but if you're going to write something down, write this down. I must be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to achieve my biggest goals. I must be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to achieve my greatest goals. Like, this is it. And I want to thank you all so much for coming today. That's it. We're done. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go have about a 4.5-hour brunch. That's all you need to know. We're going to go have a 4.5-hour brunch. We're just going to relax. We're going to go, oh my God, this guy wrapped up in 2.5 minutes a 10-hour weekend presentation. Like, that would be called instant manifestation, right? You know, that would be like creating exactly what you want right now for the rest of your life. Now, okay, now that is the end result of this whole thing. When I leave tomorrow afternoon, and when you all leave tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be wrapping with this very thought. But why is it that we don't do that? Help me out here. Why is it? Like, all of you are worthy of achieving the health, the weight loss, the sobriety, the incredible deep love that you desire and deserve. You're willing to have that, the body you want, the money you want, Shelley talks about money. I love to talk about money. Money is a very good thing. You know what? The two things in the world we don't want to talk about that I want to talk about a ton? Money and sex. And we're so afraid to talk about both, aren't we? We're so afraid. Good to see you. We're so afraid to talk about money and sex. And money and sex are wonderful. You know, they're really, really wonderful. Hi, Lisa. They are so awesome. Money and sex are so awesome. But, you know, whatever we shy away from talking about our debt, talking about our income, talking about our desires, whatever we shy away from grows, that fear, that insecurity grows. The person on a path of life mastery is willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to accomplish that which is their goal, right? Now, there's no one in here, I promise you, there's not one person that's devoted 10 hours of their life to this weekend workshop who doesn't have something massive that you want. You know, no one's in here because you'd like to lose 3/4 of a pound. Can I get an amen? Amen? You know, no one's in here because they want to earn an extra $15 this month. You know, no one's in here because their relationship is so extraordinarily special, but they would just like to get one extra kiss a month. You know, if I could just get my partner just to kiss me one time on the cheek a month, man, oh man, I hope I get this out of the workshop. You know, maybe he's going to give me a secret, a tool where I can trick him into kissing me, and then that's just all I needed. No, you know, there's no one in here with a tiny goal. Everyone has a massive goal, and if you don't know what it is, by the end of tomorrow, you will. I promise you that. You'll absolutely know this is what I'm here for. This is why I came. We'll go through a whole bunch of principles today. Tomorrow, we'll go through more. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you how to manifest whatever it is that you desire. You know, like tomorrow, we're going to go through the 3 keys, and they're going to be different than the ones that you've read from some of my friends that are the best-selling authors in the world, who I love and respect, and I interview all the time on my shows, but we're going to tell you a different path. And we're going to guarantee that it works if you follow it. But you have to remember the very first thing you wrote down. Am I willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to get what I desire out of life? That's as simple as it is. There's nothing more needed than that. But we'll give you paths to follow, routines, rituals to follow in order to make sure that you're doing that, you know? If there's one thing that people that have achieved great wealth, great bodies, great love, great, I didn't even talk about an amazing path to God. Like maybe there's someone in here that says, you know, my spiritual path is great, but I really want to become one with God. And that's possible. Amen. You know, anyone that wants to become one with God can become one with God. It's not some like thing that only nuns and monks and priests and rabbis have a grip on. You know, God doesn't say, okay, I've anointed you a rabbi, I've anointed you a priest, you get to be one with me, but everyone else, maybe next time. You know, maybe next life. Maybe, you know, if you're really good boys and girls this time, you won't come back as a snail. You'll come back with the opportunity. No, everyone has that opportunity. It's just like I've been saying, and this is what life mastery is about. Life mastery is about letting go of the blocks, the resistance, the excuses to say, I may not be able to accomplish that money or love. You know, life mastery is like it's a switch, a major switch in the brain, you know, to write down these words. Anywhere in the book you want to, it doesn't matter because it's always going to be yours. Just write down in huge letters across the page, in massively huge letters. Write it down. I, the letter I. Next, am, A-M. Worthy. W-O-R-T-H-Y. Why do you think I just spelled that out? Because we can affirm it. Yeah, because a lot of us don't feel we are. Let's just be honest, you know? Like, I'll be honest if you be honest. Let's raise our right hands. Okay, David, I promise. David, I promise. From this second forward, until I leave tomorrow, and every second afterwards, to be 100% honest with myself, and everyone in my life, period. I am worthy.
I am worthy.
Amen. Do you know the energy in this room is so beautiful? Do you feel that? It's like if there's no one in resistance. Isn't that beautiful? There's no one, because you can tell. As you're a speaker, you can tell if there's no resistance. And that's what we have to do. We have to be open, willing. Someone said to me once, why should I work with you? Like, this is interesting, right? I'm going to pay someone to work with me. you know? And they said, why should I work with you? I thought it was a great question. And you know what my answer was? And thank God I said the right thing, because they probably would have said no. I said, because I am teachable. Right? I am teachable. Please write that down. I am teachable. If you're not teachable, if you're not sitting in here because you think you have the answers that you're activated on, you have the answers, but you're not activated on them. Does that make sense? You know, and so I mean, if I open up a door in here, it's going to be to show you're worthy and to show you're teachable. If you're not teachable, nothing's going to work. You could pay billions of dollars. You could throw all your money into the ocean. Nothing's going to work if you're not teachable. If you think you have the answer right now to get to where you want to be, you might, but you're not activating it, right? And so if you're not activating it, that means we have a block, and it's about worthiness or something. There's some block there. We'll figure out what it is and get rid of it this weekend. But we have to be teachable. We have to be open. If someone gives you constructive criticism, you have to be open to listen to it. I get it constantly. Huh, Jennifer? I get constructive criticism constantly. And I have to be willing to say, wow, is there validity in it? And the answer is usually yes. There's some validity of someone saying to you, it would be really great if you stopped doing this habit, and then we defend it. Well, not right now. Wait until this happens, and then I'll stop this habit. You know, or why are you so negative? I'm not negative. So I won't say who it is. There's several people in this room. By the way, you know what else is really cool is we look through, you know, like all the people that are here, and I've been saying this forever. We have such an amazing collective, eclectic group of people. We have attorneys in here. We have stay-at-home moms. We have retirees. We have stylists, we have entrepreneurs, we have Cirque du Soleil performer for 10 years, we have, what else do we have? We've got just, I mean, all kinds of incredible people in here, you know? And everyone that is in here right now is in here because of one thing. It's because you are teachable. You could not come into this environment if you weren't. Now, you may have a few blocks, and you may go, oh, that would never work for me, David. But the minute that block comes up, just cancel it, because it will work for you. And do you want to know something else? And we'll talk about this tomorrow with manifestation, is that of all the people that I've had a chance to interview over the past 22 years, the Deepak Chopras and the Wayne Dyers and the Susie Ormans and all these type of people, do you know that, and they would say this in a heartbeat right now, first of all, none of them have had it easy. Deepak and Wayne, heavy addicts. Ooh, did you know that? Isn't that wild? And they've announced it publicly. This isn't something I'm pulling a skeleton out of a closet, and all of a sudden someone's going to go home and email Wayne. David Essel said you're an addict. Tell me it's not true. You know, and Wayne will email me back and says, yes, it was alcohol, it was cocaine, it was...
No.
Yeah, way. Very much way, yeah. So all these people that we have on certain pedestals, which, you know, I'd rather us not have people on pedestals. I'd rather have us just respecting people, quite frankly. But the people that we have on pedestals, they did not get there in all the great work they're doing without outrageous challenge. Lucky, isn't that true? You know, there's no one that got to where they are without some outrageous challenge or 2 or 10. But they've learned to master life. How? Because they're teachable. They figured out a way to become worthy. They've dropped the ego. We'll talk about ego later on. There's 2 types of ego. They've dropped the small ego in order to be open to receive. You know, and when we receive, we'll receive both the criticism to change and the blessings that you're fabulous just as the way you are. It sounds a little bipolar. You know, I must change, but I'm perfect. I must change, but I'm perfect, right? It's like, wait a second, which is it? Well, it's both. That divine spark within is absolutely perfect. It doesn't need to be changed. But that divine spark within is what's covered up with all the veils and beliefs that says we are not worthy. Can I get an amen? Amen. Does that make sense? You know, so we've got this part of our heart and soul, name it whatever you want to name it. We've got this part in our heart and soul that needs no change. It needs to be expressed as it is, absolute perfection. And then in between that and the light, these beautiful lights, just use that as an analogy. In between that and this higher self, this space inside of us that wants to get out so bad, in between there's veils, there's blocks, there's beliefs that says, if I had that incredible relationship, right? If I had that outrageous relationship, my life would be, then I would see what he's talking about. If I was financially independent, I would see what he was talking about. If I had that body, damn, it's genetics. But listen to this. University of Florida study when they looked at the causes of people that were obese, 6% of the cases could be linked to genetics. 6%. Now that means 94% is a no. And yet we will say, but look at my family history. Same with alcoholics and everything else. Look at my family history. My family history says I will be like this for life. Now 6% of us who are obese could say yes. And you could go get tested and you could say, oh my Lord, good. I don't have to do anything. I'll just be obese. But 94% of us that hide behind that, go, well, now wait a second. If 94% of the world's population who are obese, it's not because of genetics, what could it be because of? Could it be because of me? Could it be because, and the answer is yeah. Now that's a really hard, and it's just the same thing with addiction, So I'm in recovery for alcoholism and drug addiction, and my aunt died of alcoholism, and I have relatives that have struggled with alcohol, and I could say that it was caused by genetics. Right? But the only way the gene could be flipped is that if I chose to ingest something in my body, that's a choice. If I chose to ingest something, that flipped the gene. Otherwise, the gene is dormant. It doesn't give a crap. It's not saying, go to the store. Go to the store. It's not like, it's not doing anything. It's a non-entity. It's just there. It doesn't care if you drink or not. But if you do drink, it's going to jump into play. Woo! So now Life Mastery says what? Write this down, please. 100% self-responsibility. 100% self-responsibility. So now we really can't say that it's because of X that I'm Y. If Y is not good, not healthy. Yes, your environment is massive, right? Your environment when you grow up from, from the minute of conception. I mean, the child in formation is taking in from the outside world, it's accepting, it's taking in from the outside world, it's accepting all this feedback, a lot of times negative. From worry from the outside world and anxiety and arguing between the parents and doubt and all that kind of, absolutely, it's sucking it in. It's sucking it in. And then as we're born and we're put into this environment, we feel that we're out of control. And so we go to coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms in order to survive. So we become great manipulators, great liars. We develop extremely low self-esteem. We become highly codependent in life, where all we're going to do is what makes other people happy. We are so damn afraid of being ourselves that we become what anyone else wants us to be. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And then all of a sudden, at one point, we awaken. And we go, oh my Lord, it is my responsibility. Yes, I came from hell in my upbringing. Yes, I was abused. Yes, I had relationships where I was abused and everything else. But you know what? Unless they're in this present moment, then that really isn't relevant, because we need to start changing today. And I mentioned this earlier. There's no one in this room. Because of the energy that we create with this course, there's no one in this room that can't do what you're here to do. You would not come in here. This work is warrior work. It's facing the truth. It's getting out of denial. It's making a decision that I am the master of my life and I need to start proving it to myself today. Can I get an amen? You wouldn't have given your time if you weren't serious. Who has 10 hours over a weekend to throw into the wind? Can you raise your hand? 10 hours where that you're really? Do you really? Okay, there's one. There's one person that has 10 hours to throw into the wind, but the rest of you don't. Okay, but you took your hand down.
No, I thought I was raising for something else.
Oh. He was ahead of himself. You would have been correct on the next question I was going to ask. ESP, you're already way ahead of the game. Okay, so we don't have time to waste. All right, I want you to write this down. Today is my day of awakening, exclamation point. Today is my day of awakening, exclamation point. Okay, now, underneath that put, if I so choose. Okay, this is free will. So we're given free will, right? If you want to wake up today, if I want to wake up today and get to a new level, it's absolutely here. It's in front of us. That's why we're all together. Or we can stay in denial, and denial is a pretty nasty place to be. You know, denial keeps us stuck. In relationships that are unhealthy, it keeps us stuck. In finances that are always a challenge, it keeps us stuck. With our health, it keeps us stuck in every way possible. Denial is amazing. As a matter of fact, we have 450 videos on YouTube. If you're ever bored some week, you have nothing to do for 7 straight days, just start watching them. It'll take you about a week to go through them all. 450 videos, right? And one of them is called the second most powerful emotion in the world. If you want to write that down. The second most powerful emotion in the world, and it is denial. Denial is more powerful than anger. Denial is more powerful than any other emotion. I mean, love is the ultimate, right? Love, oh my God. Love is so freaking powerful. There's nothing more powerful than love. And how do we know that to be true? Look at Dave Pelzer. How do you imagine the power of this man, how he has mastered his life? How do you go from being chained to a freaking cellar pole to bringing your mother into your life 30 years later and taking care of her because she has no money? How do you do that? You know, how the heck can you imagine? I mean, seriously, how many people in this room could do that? And there might be one or two. How many people in this room could do that? And if you can, glory be to God, raise your hand. One.
In the movie, I don't know, I forgot the name of the movie, but there's a rugby play about Nelson Mandela. And
oh, yeah.
He's standing there and he's talking to his wife and says, "Are you worried about the rugby game tomorrow with the World Cup?" And he says, "No, I'm thinking how a person can live in a cell like a square and forgive the person that."
Oh, well, the Nelson Mandela story is another great example. 27 years in prison, and the guy comes out totally having forgiven de Klerk and the white party of South Africa, totally forgiving him. 27 freaking years in prison. And there's millions of stories like this. And yet, there's a couple of us in this world who refuse to use that power, to love yourself and to love other people. We refuse it. You know, like that self-love is such a bear, and we're going to start with that. You know, as a matter of fact, and Shelly and Jennifer will help you guys later on, but in 5 weeks, the weekend of September 21st and 22nd, we have another massive workshop like this going on love, intimacy, and sex. Everything you've always wanted to know.
How long is it?
That's 24 straight hours. And part of that weekend is going to be devoted to self-love because it is not being discussed, talked about. You know, listen to this. There is no way that you could ever go deeply in love with anyone else, no matter how much they love you, no matter what they give you, unless you look in the mirror, strip naked, and fall in love with what they're now. Can I get an amen? Amen. You want to go to deep love? Practice. And we're going to take you through exercises. We won't have you strip that weekend. Although we do have the mirrors. You know, I got to tell you the story. So, all right. This is wonderful. All right, so I have so anyway, Shelly and Jennifer will give you guys information about that workshop. It's going to be just freaking mind-blowing because we cover so many topics that people are so afraid to talk about, like self-love. Who the hell talks about self-love, seriously? And who gives you exercises in order to follow to do it? You know, everyone says love yourself, but great. That's great. You know, that's great, but how the hell do we start? What do we do with all those belief systems that we've had since 2 years of age or 1 year of age or 15 or 27 or 28 when someone had said, no one will ever love you? Do you know how many clients I get for 22 years that they'll say, my former husband, my mother, my father, someone said you're not lovable as you are. You know, you're not good enough. An A isn't good enough. A B plus isn't good enough. I don't care if you have dyslexia. A C isn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we've been beaten into submission that we're not lovable. But, you know, damn it all, you cannot get there with another person until you've stripped yourself to the core and you are absolutely falling in love with the person standing in front of that mirror right now. Not when you lose 25, 30, 100 pounds, not when you're making more money, not when the zit goes away. You know? It's like now. That's mastery. This is what we're here for. Mastery is getting to the core, breaking denial, getting out of illusion, going to truth. So think about this. You know, like, wow, like what percentage do I love myself? Am I at 50%, 40, 30, 20? Am I at 80? Am I at 90? And there's exercises we'll teach you that weekend. You'll be able to walk away going, holy crap, I thought I was at 95% and I'm at 7. You know, but great, we got out of denial. We're into truth. And that's where change takes place. Right, Chris? I know. The few people in here that I know, they're going to be wishing. They're going to be wishing. So let me tell you this story about being stripped naked. So I have a business coach that I've worked with who is her name is Marlene Payne. Marlene is freaking amazing. She's from Canada. And I started working with her a couple years ago because I had interviewed Harv Eker. How many people know Harv Eker? Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. You know, Google him. Harv, H-A-R-V, Eker, E-K-E-R. Or just watch one of my 450 videos because I talk about Harv. He's incredible. So I said to him a couple years ago, you know what? I've worked with business coaches in the past, and they've done good stuff, and this is where I am financially, and I want to double that. I want to double it, and I want to double it in a year. And so he said, so what do you want me to do? I said, well, I want to work with you. You know, it'd probably be like me calling up President Obama and going, you know what, Mr. Obama, I want to have a little bit more information on the political scene. So could you work with me for 12 months? You know, I mean, Harv Eker is up at that level when it comes to financial stuff. So he said, you know what, David, I honestly don't work with people one-on-one anymore, but let me give you my right-hand woman, Marlene Payne, who's phenomenal. So I hired Marlene, and it's been a couple years now, and I work with her still every week. Phenomenal. And this is one of the other things I want you to write down. I am where I am today by doing the best I can, period. I am where I am today by doing the best I can. To get to the next level, I must work with someone else, period. This is the answer. This is the answer. I am where I am today doing everything I can by myself. To get to the next level, I must work with someone else. So Harv said to me, you're not going to get there by yourself, David. You can read all the books in the world. It's not going to happen. You need someone to hold you accountable. Marlene is the person. So I hired Marlene. Within 12 months, she had doubled my income. The work with her was so freaking off the charts. She doubled my income, and I went on for another year. Incredible, right? In this work with Marlene, and Shelly and Jennifer will tell you how we can do even more of that together later. In my work with Marlene, Marlene says, hey, you know what I want you to do? I'm working with you every week, but I want you to even be more accountable. I'm going to hook you up with someone to work 5 days a week with. So I go, Marlene, isn't one day enough? You know, like, and Marlene is the type of person that gave me tons of homework every time, you know, so she's going, yo, you know what, we're going to do great work together, but here's the girl I want you to work with. So she gives me this other person. So now I'm working with this other person 5 days a week. It's 15 minutes a day with this woman 5 days a week, and then it's with Marlene for a half an hour. I said, okay, I'll go there. So we start working together. 6 months into it, this woman, Kelly, says to me, hey, David, I'm going to have to miss next week. I'm going to a conference. And I said, really, what's your conference on? She said, getting real with myself. And I said, wow, that sounds like the Life Mastery workshop she does. Well, I'll let you know how it is when I come back. So she comes back, and the very first thing I said, what was the most radical thing that happened over the weekend? And she said, you're not going to believe this. They asked me how comfortable I was with my life, and I told them 100%. And the very next thing the facilitator said is, then get up on stage and show us.